Yeah,
So how
I
about you?
just started.
Is it settling down a bit or is it very busy or?
Yeah, things are a bit crazy. I mean, between my dad and uh my granddaughter had to go to the ER in Florida, but gratefully she's okay. It was just croup, but her mom is has something else. I guess she picked up while at the hospital. That's why I detest hospitals, and I refused to go ever since I got MRSA last time.
Oh,
And let's see what else. And I got bit. I think I may have gotten bit by a brown recluse a few days ago, so I've got my eye on that since I've been bitten before, and it's no fun.
oh, that's no fun for sure.
Whoops. Let's bring eye on in.
Mm.
So we we have Ayana back. Yay! So
Hi.
we'll do a brief check-in when we get to the slide. But yeah, welcome back. Thanks for being patient with the between Easter, which I'd forgotten all about, and then of course drama and stuff. So you guys are doing okay?
Yeah.
Yes, doing better than okay. I'm on a different, it's like weird. The phone, the buttons are on one thing and the iPad is on something else.
Are you on a computer this time?
I need to get a computer. I don't have a laptop anymore. Yeah, so I need to get a new one, but I'm gonna wait on that. But what was I gonna say? Things have been like really like going for me, and it's good stuff, but I am kind of like not really a hamster like a gerbil wheel or whatever, but I'm definitely like lots of opportunities and I'm like, yes, okay, I'll do it. Yes, absolutely. Yes. But it's like there's only so many balls I could juggle before I'm gonna drop them. And I'm like, I'm gonna drop some balls soon. So I've dropped the ball on a lot of things, including my studies with my class here. And I was just like, oh, but these are the things that give me joy. So I'm like, I was listening to last session and I'm just like, I gotta do I can and I will. I have to do all of the things. I need to do all of the I need to make the declarations. I need to do the grounding thing where it's just like, this is what I'm going to do. And just kind of like flip over the table and just be like, I gotta start from scratch and this is what I'm gonna do. And I'm not gonna take on anything else. And I don't care about anything else. Like, because I get so much joy, like this, my roadmap, I get so much joy from this class. And I have just been like invited to do this and invited to do that. And I've been like, okay, yes, awesome. I can do that. Great, great. And I'm just like, by the time I get home, I fall out. It's just, I have to like, I'm not directionless, but I'm definitely taking on too many things at one time. And I have to give priority because I'm like, there's not enough for me to go around. So
Right. So boundaries and getting strong focus uh, is part of getting grounded. So it's interesting. And as I hear you, I'm thinking, yeah, that sounds like a Gemini kind of energy, doing the plates and um your head. You'll see on one of the slides. You actually played out one of the slides for us.
yeah, it's crazy. And I would never associate myself with the Gemini, but I'm like, is this what it is? Like, yeah, because I'm all over the place, like literally driving all over the place. Um, different, really different, wonderful opportunities that I've been wanting to do, but like maybe too afraid to fully commit in the past or didn't have enough confidence or whatever. Uh-oh. Oh, okay.
No, go
I
ahead.
didn't know
I'm
what was
still
happening.
listening. I was just putting up the
So
slide.
I'm in a yoga teacher training, which I've started many years ago, and I'm actively in a yoga teacher training now. And I kind of stopped my training classes in late December, early January because my transportation, like my vehicle wasn't working, and it was like a city away or a couple of cities away, and I couldn't get there. So I just kind of like, was like, oh, that's gonna have to be on the back burner because I got to figure something out, and I was finding a new job and all the things. So then I recently started back, like maybe 2 weeks ago, I think. And the teacher was like, "Are you ready to teach?" And I was like, "No, I'm not. What are you saying?" And she was like, "You look pretty good. We need you to teach. I need you to like do a substitute class." And I was like, okay, I'll do it. Like, like let me stop saying no. Let me stop finding a reason why not. And it was wonderful. It was good. The class was good. I got good feedback. I felt good in my body and everything too. And it was at a mental health place, and it was really far away, which I knew that when I accepted it, but I just like that day it rained and rained and rained. So it made it even further away, like an hour and 20 minutes away from where I live, but it worked out. And so then that has segued me into, she wants to offer me a position at her studio, which is what I want. It's just so many things are happening, and then something else came up, and someone's like, "Hey, do you want to? There's this opportunity to vend in New York, and your things that you make are so amazing. Like, would you consider doing it with me?" And I was just like, "When is it?" And they were like, "May 5th or whatever." And I was like, "Yeah, I think I can do that. Yeah, sure. I want to vend. I want to, I've got products." And so it's like, it is definitely Gemini. It's like Gemini and Aries energy. Cause like, I can do everything. I'm invincible. And then the Taurus, like, I'm worthy. But then it's like, I'm not. So I needed to be here so I could be like, cause I'm everything but grounded, even though I'm super calm, but I'm not grounded. I'm usually so grounded, but I'm not grounded. I'm not anchored, and it doesn't feel bad, but I just know, like, almost like one of those little Chinese lanterns is going up. I'm like, I need like weighted bags. I need to weight myself down before I like float up, up, up and away. So
take a breath. So that's part of Gemini, and this is something that Taurus can learn too, or together, they work together, because remember what I mentioned at the onset, that each sign it's kind of like a relay race. So the previous sign gives a baton to the next one. So as I witness your share here, it just shows me how Taurus is the karma of Gemini, meaning, is Taurus sometimes so comfortable and just kind of like, yeah, just comfortable, just taking a slower pace of life, that it almost becomes a little too slow. And so Gemini remembers that somehow and says, you know what, I want to shake things up. I want to take off more than I can chew. And then, it continues to snowball from there. But Gemini does teach us to breathe. So as you're sharing every exciting piece here, I get the excitement, but it feels like taking a breath, which is part of Mercury and Gemini, is really important before you do the other Gemini thing, which is to make decisions about how to utilize your time wisely. And, answering that all important question, what do I really want? And actually, in the course material from Builders of the Adytum, which is how Lynn and I connected through that group, the first lesson is based on that question, what do I really want? Now my husband and I, we say, what do I really, really, really want? We have to be able, and that becomes both, I think, that question, the answer to that question becomes both the anchor and the target that we're moving towards, because you'll never hit your one true target if you're shooting arrows all over the place. And that's part of the shadow of this polarity between Gemini, and its opposite is Sagittarius, the archer. So we'll see how this develops. But I really appreciate that you demonstrated aspects of Gemini so beautifully today. And welcome back. Welcome back home. And again, thank you for having been patient through these last couple weeks. Now I'm having a little Mercury retrograde issue here.
It's like a partial
what?
screen.
Is it black right now?
It's
Because
like
it's
all like
all
pixelated or choppy or in blocks, but it's not. Oh, there you go.
Starting
it's-
to come up.
Yeah, it's coming out of it though now.
But
There's
yeah,
still works in the
there's
middle.
still gray
I'm
blocks.
gonna try it again and see why does it go dark like that? Oh, there we go. All right. Oh, so let me move this out of the way here. And I want to see if I'm sharing. Yeah, so it is we're on the first thing. So this one, just let me preface. The Gemini class is probably one of my most intense, and in the sense that I have too much. It's kind of like with you, Ayana, taking on too many activities and projects. And so I need to preface that I may just, depending upon timing, see if I need to skip some of the slides. I won't skip the material, but if I find myself repeating the information, then I might skip some of them, especially since some are a little bit old. So
Is it,
as always, yep.
I was just gonna say, is it so much that it needs to be broken into two pieces, like kind of how we did the first one, because it's so much and it needs to be broken up? Or
No, I actually just need to weed through it.
okay.
And we'll see if we need to. I'd rather not, because then we're gonna be going too far off, anyways. But thank you for the suggestion, and I'll definitely keep it in mind. Okay, so you guys have your charts in front of you, I hope, right? All right, and your notebook. So the first thing always, of course, is we do our little review. And in the review, I just want to know here, of course, we already looked at Taurus and Venus in the second house in your charts last time, but I want to know how you experienced Taurus, how you experienced the home play, what you may have discovered about yourself that you didn't know or didn't explore enough previously with this particular archetype. Whether it was the home play, or it could have been maybe one of the what I call my moon coaching moon mantras, which you can extrapolate to just being a statement in which you embrace Venus and Taurus. So it could have been one of these that you picked, hopefully. Or maybe you worked on one of the self-knowledge questions, and hopefully discovered something wonderful about yourself in terms of this. Or it could have been anything else. Whoops, I forgot. There's my alarm for, let me turn this off. So I'm just putting these back on to kind of jog our memory on some of the topics that we may have explored. So what about you? So go ahead and let me know, what have you discovered? And you had 2 weeks in Taurus, so
I can say that I've been living through it. So I have discovered or rediscovered or reaffirming that I really like being home with my children a lot. Like, and when I'm like working, I get irritated that I have to be away from them, and like I want to make dinner for them, and I want us to eat together, and I want, you know, and I was just like, they're not even babies anymore. I just like to be, like, I really enjoy, and it's so weird because I don't necessarily enjoy other parts of my family like that, but I enjoy my brood, my children that I, carried and made and everything else. And which has inspired me to, figure out a way so that I can generate money so that I can have that freedom of being around my children the way I want to be around them. And then, and that has turned into something even bigger where the children can then be involved with the thing, so they can grow and be like a family thing that we're doing. I do know how much money is in my bank account, which is so funny because I wind up checking my account all the time because I'm always purchasing things, and I'm at this time have money going in and coming out kind of frequently. So kind of a natural bookkeeper, and I've discovered that I to affirm that too. I did my own taxes, this year, and I haven't done that in a very long time. And I did pretty good, and I got a return and this and that and everything else. So I was just like, I should offer my services to other people. So I asked my best friend, hey, do you want me to do your tax return for you? And she was like, yeah, I never get anything back. Sure, why not? And she got a nice, good return too. And so my Aquarius son, who's away, I said, hey, because he's never done it, first time working last year and everything else, whatever. So I was just like, would you like me to try? You see, whatever. And he was like, yeah. And he got a nice little return too. And I was just like, I'm an accountant. I can do things like that, So, and then I don't know, this time of year, and the last thing I'm going to say, because I could go down the whole list. The last thing I'm going to say, this time of year, probably right before April comes in, which is kind of, I guess that makes sense because like numerology, like the critical period, like 52 days before your birthday or whatever, I start like attracting like all these, like I get all these men, straight, gay, all complimenting me. It's like the siren effect happens. And I know what it is because it doesn't shock me, but they're all like tripping and falling, people at my job, customers, and I'm just kind of like, that's just the Venus effect. Like this happens every single time right before my birthday. Every single time. All the flirting, all the advances, and I'm just kind of like, no. I know better. But it's just funny, like it's funny because I feel like, these mere mortals, they have no idea they're around.
Wow. So it sounds like you took some of those talents and you put them out into circulation and shared that with others, and it's coming right back to you when you're doubling everybody else's wealth too. How nice is
and
that?
it is. And I have chocolate sauce earrings on.
Oh, how funny. Oh, I love it.
Costco.
Cool. Yeah, the Venus effect. Absolutely.
Yes. So that's what I'm noticing. That's what I've noticed over the course of the last couple of weeks.
Cool. All right. And yes, I'm sure you didn't have enough time to watch the whole recording, but go back and watch it because there were pieces, and at some point we talked about the charts. So and you found your way now through the forum that you can start posting and reading.
Yes.
And
did you see that I posted like the Aries thing, like my Aries show and tell?
I got a notification. I didn't get a
Okay.
chance to see it yet, but yes, I did see that notification came through before class. So I'm glad you were able to finally make that in there.
So I figured it out, and I don't know like why I was having such a hard time. I realized I was not touching on the active link part. I was touching the box, so nothing would happen. And you have to touch like the words, and then it like pops into something else. And I'm like, how would I not know how to do that? I don't know, but I didn't.
Taurus, touch.
So I figured it out. So now I can actively post and comment and interact and everything else too. Yep.
Great. Well, thank you. I'm glad you worked on all of that, and I appreciate you sharing this with us. And Lynn, what about you?
Well, there's a lot there to pick from. Some of the stuff that kind of stood out for me to make me think more was about the Taurus as the builder and what life are you building. And I was like, oh my God, what am I building? And so what came for me was just in everything that's happened over the last few years, and in particular over the last 9 months or so, where I've, bought this house, and then I got these kittens, like everything was so unplanned, right? And the house that I have is more me, like it's more my kind of house, because where I had to live before, different places with family, with my husband, you know, like it becomes choices that are involved where other people make the choice or other people pick and choose and stuff. So like this house to me is like it's true to me. And getting the kittens, you know, I wasn't really planning, but I do love little creatures, and it's kind of true to me, like, and it hasn't been very long that I've been dating this man, that we have things in common that I don't know that I've ever met anybody that I had so much in common with. So it kind of fit the whole building a life that is authentic to me, like that is more my kind of speed, style, and so on. So I found that really stood out, like, because I never really thought of it as like, what kind of life am I building? And but it's more like to be genuine to who I am, or genuine to what I would want, or, you know, even though you do take in other people's points of view and opinions, and you know, they have a say in your life depending on what kind of relationship you have and everything. So that was really a big thing. And by picking what's most important, I thought it was kind of funny as Ayana was going over all these opportunities coming and so many things to pick and choose and so many things you want to do and everything. And over the last few years, I find I've been in a place where I find I have to pick and choose. A lot of it does come up through work. Also the circumstances of work where I have to pick and choose because there's all kinds of stuff going on and there's just no way to do it all. So I found I really understood what Ayana was saying. There's so much, and then you have to like pick and choose what's most important. And I find by going that path of more what is genuine for me, you know, I'm being more honest with myself and with those around me. And in the end, really, I find there's less regret because you're being more honest, more genuine, and you don't feel like, oh, I should have done this, and oh, I should have done that and stuff. So I find it's really about being genuine has been a big theme for me. And also the mention in the last time we were together, and you had said how Uranus was the dispositor of the Venus. And you know, like it stays in my head, and then I walk away or whatever, and then I'm like, I'm thinking about it, you know, like just, you know, randomly things pop up. And I thought it was such a good line. And for me, it makes me think of just you know, Uranus breaking free, you know, like breaking free of certain patterns in relationships or my value system. And with Virgo, I know there could be that criticism and stuff and that need for perfection and so on. And so to me, it was kind of like revelations. That was kind of like my big moments, stuff like that. And so it's just really interesting, the stuff that comes up, and then, you know, it just helps put it together, I guess. Like it just helps put it together. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
That's great. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh,
I didn't mean to cut you off.
And I'm trying to think, what else was it? And then, you know, to take time to enjoy the physical world. One of the things you had mentioned was like a mantra or that you could pick. And I was thinking it's like to stop and smell the roses. And, you know, when I've lived my life a certain way for a long time, having to be, having to like, and as I've been getting older, I find myself kind of slowing down and realizing like this is it, right? Like in this lifetime, this is it. So if I don't stop to enjoy the moments or the food, because I love food, and just different things, you know, the different things that can be in a group or with family or different relationships, and just kind of take a moment to slow it down and enjoy things. So I've definitely slowed down. I know my daughter will tell me that. Yeah. And then I was thinking too about the second house. The ruler is the cusp is Cancer, so the ruler is the moon. and just thinking of what are my resources? What did I bring in this lifetime? And I was thinking, well, it made me think family, that family was a big resource for me, family connections, and maybe the desire of wanting to be a mother when I was younger, before I had my kids. And also, I never thought of it really as a resource, but like emotions, like usually cancer is pretty big for emotions, and I never really thought of it as a resource, but it can certainly be a resource because it propels you to do things, you know. It's like you could be more of an artist if you wanted to be, because of the emotion is there to do more, and that kind of thing. So yeah, it just all
Beautiful.
think about.
That's great. So it sounds like you both really, this has been a fruitful couple weeks. I also wanted to mention that in hearing you both share, that what comes to mind is Scorpio on the opposite end of that Taurian polarity. And it's like part of the Taurus gift of slowing down and enjoying ourselves, enjoying our lives, is knowing when, from the opposite end, since Scorpio rules power and other people's resources, it's like, when are we losing our power to others? When are other people tugging on us in the Scorpio polarity so much that we are seeping our power away? And so we got to pull back into our Taurian self, that part of ourselves, and say, oh, hold on. If I'm losing power by doing this, that, and the other for everybody else, then maybe I need to come back to my values. What's important to me? What makes me feel empowered? The opposite, right? And then be able to settle into that and feel that level of comfort once again with whatever activities you choose to involve ourselves with. So great. And all of this is great segue to move into Gemini, of course. If I can get the slide to go. Okay. So what we're going to look at, of course, now shifting into Gemini. And if there's more that you want to share or ask questions about and honing into your own chart, please post in the group. I will look into that. I will answer questions and we can dialogue further. I'm sorry, excuse me. So we're going to look for the third house. What's on the cusp of the third house? What sign owns that piece of real estate in your psyche? We're going to look at where we have Mercury in our charts, and if we have any particular planets in Gemini, as well as what piece of real estate, once again, Gemini rules in your charts. So, in the past, I started off by pulling up the charts, and we ended up spending a lot of time here rather than the slide. So this time I'm just going to put this up real quick here and then visit it more in depth at the end, after we've had a chance to look at the slides and the archetypal qualities that we are exploring. But first, yes, let's just take note. And again, you guys know enough clearly to already be able to identify this, but we'll still go over everything. So the first thing, of course, is finding where the house that Gemini rules. Well, in Lynn's case, you have Gemini intercepted inside the 12th house. So an interception, did you know that you have it intercepted, Lynn?
Yes, in a way. I haven't really dwelled a lot on it or whatever, but it's like when it doesn't have a cusp, and it's kind of in between two signs in the house, right?
Yeah, it's sandwiched in there. So
Yeah.
basically each one of the signs will own a particular house cusp. But when we have an interception, and the interceptions tend to happen the more far away, from the equator we go, we're born. So an interception is just that, a sign, two signs, because it's always in pairs. So you have both Gemini and Sagittarius intercepted. So one of the formulas, and I may as well just cover this here right now, is one of the formulas that my beloved teacher Jeffrey Brock taught is you take, this is all based on accurate birth time, okay? You take the degree of your midheaven, which in your case is 10.5. So let's just say 10 for easy math, because I hate math. You deduct 10 from 30, because 30 degrees for each sign, right? So somewhere between the ages of 19 and 21, right? 20, you can go either way. Hopefully you will have experienced something that unlocked the intercepted energies in your life. And it would have something to do clearly with Gemini and Sagittarius, and within the realm of 12th and 6th house concerns. So that's one way of looking at interceptions. And you can both play around with that with charts of people you know. And in your case, Lynn, that's something I don't know if it applies. I know that the charts that I have worked with, it has been applicable. I know in my own chart that has worked like a charm. So have you come across this?
So you would take the MC, which is like, to make it easy, 10, and subtract it because it's 30 degrees in the house. So then you were saying 20, 21 years of age, I would have had something that would have made that Gemini part of the chart kind of come out.
Yeah, Gemini and Sag, or either end of the polarity, or both. So it's something to think about, and just do some inner work about. And because of the 12th and 6th house that the interception is in, that's where the energy may have played out. So spiritual or healing or service work, or just your business, just all the things that we relate to those two houses, not only the signs Gemini and Sagittarius. So that's a little bit of home play for you. Let's see. So we would not at the moment interpret Gemini on a house for you. We would just say Gemini plays within the 12th house. All right. And for Ayana, we know Gemini is up ruling the 11th house. So that's what you want to journal with. Gemini in the 12th, Gemini on the 11th. And as we look at the pictures that you'll see and discuss the things that we'll be discussing in the coming slides, keep your chart in mind. So you have Mercury, Lynn, you have Mercury in Aquarius. It's disposited by Uranus once again, just like last week with Venus. And the interesting thing in your case, and I should have added another arrow, is that if we follow the dispositorship thread, it bounces right back up to Mercury, bounces right back to Uranus, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So it'll always loop back. The idea of the mind, it's a closed loop. So it's a more focused energy between the higher mind, which is Uranus, and concrete mind, we would say esoterically, which is Mercury. So the ability to take perhaps a lighter line of thinking, Mercury, and apply or explore it within the higher realms of thought, the higher mind. So that's what I was going to leave for for the end of the class. But anyways, so you've got that feedback loop. And again, you know, you'll play with, well, what does that look like, feel like? The fact that it's bouncing back and forth between not just the two planets, but also pulling in the energies of Aquarius and Virgo. The same thing as last week for you, except with Venus, it was Venus to Uranus to Mercury, right? And then it would just loop right back to Uranus. Now here, Venus is out of the equation and we're just looking Mercury, Uranus, Mercury, Uranus. You follow what I'm saying? It just loops back and forth. An infinity looping back and forth, which is actually pretty nice. So that hopefully the mind isn't spread out all over the place. You know, this is a more direct line of communication. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it sounds really good. And I'm thinking too, just I have a tendency to analyze things to death. So I'm just thinking, yeah, loop, 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 you know, it just keeps going. Yeah, yeah. That analytical or that mind, that focus, yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Interesting. Yeah.
Okay, and then with Ayana, let's go find Mercury. Mercury is in Taurus, and then it goes to Venus, which is in Aries. So there's that interplay between Mercury and Venus. So maybe it's about thoughts that are beautiful, or finding ways of asking yourself the question, the thought, is this something that adds value to me to even think about? You know, I'm getting this picture of it has to somehow be beautiful. Whereas for Lynn, it may be, can this bring me closer to freedom? You know,
Yes.
can I break free mentally? Whereas for you, it's, can I get closer to what really matters to me?
It's true. Yeah.
And then it goes, the dispositor continues over to Mars, which is in its own sign. So you see, you've got one more. It goes Mercury, Venus, Mars, and it stops there. So in your case, it doesn't bounce back and forth like Lynn. It just goes to
Goes
bam.
like an arrow.
And ideally, this is something that you'll develop. Since you started off sharing all these experiences and all these potentials and having so it's almost like saying, okay, well, Ayana, of all this that you've been exploring and you've had all these ideas and other people presenting ideas to you in the last few weeks, you know, which one really feels the most beautiful, closest in alignment to your true deepest values, and ultimately which energizes you because of the Mars and gives me a sense of creative independence. I would not, for example, in your case, like necessarily go with anything that entraps you to having somebody else be your boss, so to speak, right? Because of that, you know, both of you, there's this independent streak. But the creative exploration for you is really, really important with Mercury to Venus to Mars, bam, and there it ends. So ultimately, your Mercury has to pass the baton to Venus and Venus to Mars, and there he has to decide, you know.
Got it.
And all right, so the other thing that we said we would look at is what sign is on the third house cusp for the both of you. So we've got Leo on the third house for Lynn. So a very bright, sunny, happy, creative energy ruling the third house of communication and mind. And then for Ayana, Libra, there's beauty in it. You know, you can't get away from that idea of somehow bringing in beauty into the thought process for you. Since it is Libra, that means Venus rules the third house of communication for you. The sun rules the third house of communication for Lynn. So we would say that if you want to understand your thought processes, your communication style better, the way you process information, this is all that archetype, we could not only look at Mercury's condition, but we would look at the condition of the planet that rules the third house. So Sun in Pisces is the ruler of the third house, and Sun and Venus in Aries is the ruler of Ayana's third house.
Yes.
So again, these are things that you're going to explore this week.
Okay.
So we're letting go as much as we can, Taurus and Venus. In your case, you're not letting go of Taurus and Venus this week. It's just kind of funny how everything you talked about just leads this beautiful combination between number 2 and number 3 for you. Right? And what else were we going to look at? So we did Mercury. Oh, and any planets inside of the third house. So Jupiter's in the third house. That adds a whole new layer there to Lynn's pursuits, third house pursuits. So keep in mind Jupiter. What's Jupiter? Jupiter is expansion. It's growth. You want to grow. The ideas that you may have, but being careful not to be highly critical of the ideas. They don't have to be perfect before you put them out into the world, Lynn. You don't. Just trust that, whatever comes to you is divinely inspired, and it's okay to put it out. It's okay to share if that's something that comes to you. And that feels what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, no, divine inspiration, because it's Sun in Pisces. So Jupiter goes to the Sun in Pisces, and then I'm sorry, no. Jupiter rules Pisces, traditionally speaking. So Jupiter is an accidental dignity of the third house rulership. Do you know what do I need to say that in a better way?
I think I know what you mean, because it's interesting. Third house cusp, you got Leo, which is ruled by the sun. So the sun is in Pisces, and then Pisces is Jupiter, which happens to be in that third house, Virgo. Does it ring then to Mercury in Aquarius, and then Uranus, and it loops back to that Mercury?
Yep. Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
New to do it like a link like that. I find it's very interesting. Very interesting.
It's called dispositorship. Very important. Very important. Okay, good. And then we have how many planets do you have? You've got the moon in Libra with a north node in Libra, but and of course Pluto, even though it's technically inside the very last degree of the second house, you really should read it in the third as well, especially since it's part of a stellium. So I would read Pluto, Moon, North Node in Libra in the third, and of course the Uranus and Scorpio. So that's a very powerful stellium. I have a stellium in the third house as well. Communication, therefore, is a key area of interest, exploration, and expression for you, So whatever you discover about the third house this week, it will be really important to share it.
Okay.
That's huge. So we've got Pluto. We talked about power already.
Yes.
The divine feminine, motherhood. You spoke about the importance that you discovered in being at home with your children. Moon home, but in a third house way. So you'll see the third house has a lot of playfulness ideally in it as well. We'll come back to that. North Node. The North Node we know is part of the equation of life purpose. So that's tied into it. And even though it's a different sign and it's a little bit further off from the stellium, it's you know what, it's too far from the North Node and Moon and Pluto. But it is technically inside the third house, that Uranus. So it'd be nice to see what it is that you experience, how you experience Uranus in the third house
Okay.
thing. All right.
Notes to come.
Yes. All right. So we've gone from Aries to Taurus to Gemini. It's all about communication, education, and oh my gosh, siblings. Did you guys tell me if you have siblings? Both of you? Yana, yes. Lynn?
Yes.
I have one also. One, yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's up for
The
study.
education part is, I didn't think about that for Gemini, but that makes sense because it's communication and it's traveling and learning and things like that. Everything that I have, all of the balls that I'm juggling have to do with things that I've been educated on, or I'm currently getting educated on, or things that that's what I've realized about myself. It's just like, I love to teach and I love to learn. I love to teach and I love to learn. And I'm like, I have to be doing one or the other. And I try to get,
yes.
I can't get away from
Every
it.
teacher's an eternal student, and your stelliums are across the third and the ninth house axis. And that axis 3 and 9 is about education. It is early childhood education in the third and higher education in the ninth. And that's what's highlighted in your chart. So you have to have stage. A stage, and either to share what you're great at, or by sharing your story or teaching others. But yes, an eternal student as well. I have a stellium across that too. All right, so that's where we're gonna be going a little bit more. So this is one of the ones that I'm gonna kind of skip. Whoops, no. So once again, we're in the early part. As we know, we just started. Technically, we're right here. We're in Aries in time, in space time right now. In the class, we're here at the third. So this is why it's also early childhood education, because in Aries and the first archetype, we were born, we took that first breath, we leaped forward into new territory. In Taurus, we took the excitement that we got from Aries and we build our identity and our life and create a structure with that fire that we're already holding within us. It's almost like Russian nesting dolls, you know? And now in Gemini, now that we know what our values are from the Taurus experience, we can share them with others, education, or we can take in more information to further help us to define A, Aries, who we are, and B, Taurus, what we value. So that additional information that we get in Gemini helps to refine the previous two. Okay.
That's amazing. Yep.
So there it is. That's what what you brought up about teaching and learning. So this is the Gemini Sagittarius polarity, which is the path of the mind. The third one being the lower mind or concrete mind, and the ninth is the higher mind, the more expansive thoughts versus the more daily quick thinking of Gemini. So yes, it's the path also of education and beliefs. And the pair that work together are Mercury and Jupiter. In your case, let me see. Well, Lynn also has quite a bit in the ninth, right? Yeah, see, both of you. The ninth house is a big deal for both of you. More, and the third house is a big deal for both of you, but yeah, the stellium gives more weight to Ayana's chart in the third. Whoops. Would it help for comparison's sake, or did I? No, I already put both your charts, so you both have access to each other's charts, so that when I say things like what I just said about, yeah, okay. So we're talking about transferring information. And Gemini is the twins, mythologically speaking, and they are siblings, one which is mortal and the other one which is I don't remember how the story goes. They were both divine, and one became mortal. I don't remember the exact myth, but one dies, and so the one that survived was put up as the constellation. They were both put up as a constellation, Gemini, by Zeus or Jupiter, because they were truly inseparable. So this is where we get the idea of siblings ruling this particular sign. Did you guys see the thing about, speaking of twins, there were these two, I don't know what they're called nowadays. They used to be Siamese twins, conjoined twins.
I didn't see
And
it, but I
one
heard
of them
about
got married.
Someone told me about it. Right. Yep. And I think they're still called, they're called both the conjoined and Siamese. I believe they're still referred to as that. Both of those.
Yeah, I think there was a new word. They keep coming up with new words. But yeah, so that was just kind of interesting to me. It's like, I don't know, how does that function? Like, everybody's curious about that. Oh, there's another Gemini word, curiosity.
Yes.
All right. So in terms of the elements, of course, we come to our very first air sign, Gemini, which is mutable. So we have mutable air, which is changeable and movable. And then we have cardinal air, which we'll get to with Libra, and fixed air. Fixed air, Aquarius, is actually the most stubborn of all. People think that Scorpio is stubborn, or Taurus. No. So why do you think fixed air would be more hard to shift in their position than fixed earth, fixed fire, or fixed water?
Maybe because air doesn't necessarily have a shape, so it can shift or can't be contained.
So they got to work harder, maybe. So they got to work harder to hold a point. I don't know.
Good ones. Because because it's the mind. Air is the mind, right? It's all mental. So it's a thought. They cannot change their mind. Once they have fixed their mind on something, you cannot move that. But I do see what you're both saying. However, it is said that because fixed thoughts are more difficult to change than any of the others. Anyways, for what it's worth, since I know Ayana, I mean,
makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and you both have do you both have a lot of Aquarius too? No, you don't have Aquarius, but Lynn does. So that's something to consider.
Do you know why? Because I think because I pushed one out, because I birthed one. So because I didn't have any in my chart. So
oh, that's right. That's right. Oops. All right, so just this is stuff you guys know, so I'm just gonna kind of go through it real fast and interrupt if you want to add anything. So the idea of thoughts being carried on the wind, and that the winds of change, and there's multiple channels of communication, especially nowadays with the technology as it comes. I was going to show you something about technology. Oh, yeah. Here. It was this. So I found this box, and it's filled with this. So how does this relate to Gemini in third house and Mercury, do you think?
Because it's retro. It used to be something that we listened to, cassette. maybe
No,
because of the, I don't know. Oh, communication, right? Because it's
yes, yes. Someone's ideas were recorded on this, ¿cómo se llama? This cinta, this tape, right? So
yes,
this is a recorded thought, recorded thought and voice, right? So somebody's voice is on here. It's a teacher, one of the women that I studied with and has passed on. But I thought about how also the technology, Mercury has to grow. Mercury can't be stuck in yesterday's technology. We have to pull from the opposite, Jupiter. Remember, Jupiter is expansion and growth. So Mercury looks to its opposite, Jupiter, to be able to move beyond its old technology and expand and be able to find new modes of communicating ideas and thoughts. This is why that polarity has to do with teaching and ideas and a lower concrete mind and higher mind. Oh, I meant to skip this one, but it's here. This is really old. So there was an artist named Jim Tripp many years ago when I was hooked on eBay, and I had bought a number of pieces from him, and it was Katrina, and he lived in, I don't remember, was it Alabama, Louisiana? I forget. And he went out to the water's edge and snapped this picture. And there are dragonflies, and you see the clouds in the sky kind of have this image. Do you see the image?
Yep. It looks like a person. Yep.
It looks like Jesus or Yeshua.
It does
know,
look like,
or a
yeah,
bearded
it does,
man
with the
anyways.
open arms. Yep, with the open arms.
Yeah, or it could be an angel, yeah. But this idea, it spoke to me because this idea about how this archetype deals with messages, sometimes messages from other realms. So as we explore this archetype this week, to be open to receiving messages from unusual sources. And it could be something nebulous, it could be just like in this image with the cloud sort of forming and it'll disappear just as quickly, or these 13 dragonflies. Everybody knows 13 is a sacred, they're all sacred numbers, but 13 has a particular message to it. So just that, it's like, go out this week and pay attention to the messages, look for signs. And this is what we do anyways all week with all the archetypes, but especially this week. So the planet, of course, ruling Gemini is Mercury, ruling communication and learning, the principle of the mind. It has an energy that is swift in its movement, the archetypal trickster and messenger, and it moves very, very fast. And of course, we know that Mercury goes retrograde, and people are so scared of Mercury retrograde, and they shouldn't be, because it affords us an opportunity to go within, to slow down, to get quiet, to tune in to the right brain, because Mercury generally is related to the left brain, to the logical mind. But Mercury retrograde, regardless of the sign that it happens in, kind of shuts the left brain off a bit. It's not as logical as when it's in forward movement, and it kind of forces you to look at things from the right brain perspective, which is great because then we become more whole brain in our mental attitude towards life. Now, some people have Mercury retrograde natally in their own chart, like me. So people like that, and let's see if either one of you.
Yeah, we both do. We all do.
We do?
I was
Wait,
born during Mercury retrograde.
Where? Wait, okay, yeah. So Mercury retrograde, you're absolutely right, Lynn. And yeah, wow, okay. So, question for both of you then. How have you experienced in your early childhood? Okay, because that's the time frame that this archetype rules. How did you experience the ability to share your thoughts, to process information, whether it's information you put out or that you took in? And do you know what your preferred learning style was as a child?
When you first started that line of thought, the first thing that came to mind was, I remember being in, French school for kindergarten, and I had been raised English. So my mother, her first language was French, and, she put me in a French school to get me to learn the language. And so I knew practically no French. And so there was a problem in communication that kindergarten year because they talked to me, and I mean, I knew a few words, but in general, I didn't know anything. And then when I did go to an English school a year or so after that, I remember being told I was very slow. I was so slow. And it was like, I don't know, I guess I was trying to figure it out or something. I don't know. So I kind of had a little phase where I was told I was very slow. I did speed up after a while, but yeah, that's kind of what happened to me as I started school. And yeah.
That's the retrograde in action. Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm sorry that happened to you because that's part of it. You know, it's like this sort of wounding that occurs around
And
yeah, communication. But do you speak French now? Go ahead, sorry.
pas beaucoup. Anyway, so
Say that
I
again?
je parle un peu français. Je parle not really, really awesome there. I'm not like comfortably fluent or whatever. But I thought too, like with the Mercury retrograde, it could, talk about early childhood education. But then I've got Jupiter retrograde too. So that I'm thinking, does that kind of say also kind of like how my schooling was when I started, where I was trying to learn a language, didn't know, I wasn't using it outside of school or whatever. And then,
Yeah.
just kind of that, part of the story of, my education as a child, where it kind of took a bit to get going, right?
hmm Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. It's both. And hold on, since we're talking about retrogrades, we may as well count how many retrogrades you each have. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have 4 planets retrograde, Lynn, right? One, let me make sure. Yep. The nodes are almost always retrograde. Actually, they are pretty much retrograde 90% of the time. And Ayana, let's see how many you have. 1, 2, 3, also 4. So you both have 4 retrogrades. The average is, I believe it's 3. It's either 2 or 3. So that's an above average. I have 5. And yes, it means that most of our life is an internal process. Living is, I believe we live in our own bubble reality, you know, but everything is processed interiorly first before we feel comfortable coming out into the world. Does that make sense? Do you guys experience that?
Oh, for
Absolutely.
sure for me. Yeah, for sure.
And and I think I don't know if this could be the Taurus or Aries somewhere too. For me, it's always been in my youth, like when I was a little kid, maybe I cared more about what other people thought. But it's always when I wind up speaking and I'm just like, I have to be good with myself first. I don't really care about like everyone else is secondary. I have to feel I'm the committee, and if I don't feel good, then nothing else really matters. So
That's great. I want that attitude. I want that kind of committee.
and as far as
Yeah.
the learning style, when I
Mhm,
was a child, I believe that it was kinesthetic and
mhm.
also auditory. So
That makes
touching
sense.
and listening. Yeah.
That's what I would say. If your mom had brought you to me as a kid and said, "Oh, what kind of school?" I would say, make sure that it's a system of education that it is kinesthetic and or auditory because of the Taurus, Mercury and Taurus.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting. But did you have any experiences in terms of communicating or anything like what Lynn expressed?
Um, there's things that I like can vaguely remember, but my grandmother, a couple of things. My grandmother told me, and I don't know how old I was, probably just a couple of weeks. She said that I used to like move my lips as if I was trying to talk, like when she would be holding me, like trying to, and she'd be like, she said she would say, tell it all to me, tell it all to grandma. Like, what did they do? Tell me, and of course I wasn't saying anything, um, but then my mom has told me stories too, and some of them I kind of like can vaguely remember the scenery, but I don't remember the actions. She says stuff like they were at I guess some big outdoor music concert or whatever, and like they were doing like music on stage or whatever, and I ran down into the aisles and ran down like charging like center stage, and she was like too embarrassed to get me. So like one of her and they were like cheering me on like as a little kid, like probably 3 years old or something. And one of her friends had to actually come and get me because my mom was like, she was too embarrassed to like come and retrieve, like, oh my God, that's my child. And I was like, I remember the scenery a little bit, but I don't remember doing that. And she was like, you were like dancing and, lipping, mouthing words or whatever. And I was like, I don't even, but like so bold and so, like not shy or whatever. So, later, I did develop just a mild shyness, but I've always been a communicator, verbal communicator, even to adults. And I remember them always thinking that I was older than I was because they were like, you communicate so well. You know, put sentences together so well. You're so able to express yourself with very few words and da da da. And I remember hearing that all the time, young into teenager, into like 20s, into, even to present day. And so I've always had a good ability to communicate, particularly with words.
Okay, good. All right, good. I would just, if you don't mind, because you have Mercury conjunct Chiron, and actually in the middle, you have got Mercury in the middle of Chiron and the Sun in Taurus, and it is retrograde. I would just want to know if there were any challenges or blocks to your education or really early, again, we're talking about early childhood here. And because of Pluto pretty much right on that third house cusp. So even though you had a lot to say, was there anything, and it may have been just that, what you shared about your grandma, that you were trying to speak at first before maybe you even knew how to speak, that you had so much to say, but it didn't quite come out because
I might have to
it was something.
ask my mother because I don't remember. I remember like being in kindergarten and I guess the equivalence of pre-K. So I've seen pictures and I remember like the teachers and stuff.
Mhm.
The only thing that I can say is maybe I was gonna say it and then the wind blew and I cannot remember what I was just about to say to you. Communication, early communication, you said. I think I was talking like my mom said I was talking really early. And she put me in Suzuki violin lessons at age 2, which I still have the little tiny violin. And I was just like, to myself, I can remember myself like, you know, holding it to the chin and doing this, but I'm thinking to myself, 2 is really young, you know? So that stuff you know, like she has talked about it, her friends have talked about it, my godparents. And I vaguely, like, if I close my eyes, I can kind of like remember a scene, but I can't necessarily hear anything about it. But I'm like, so I'm not sure. I think I'll have to ask her.
Did you continue or did you drop it?
I dropped it, but I did pick up strings again when I was in junior high school, and I decided on the bass. Not even remembering that I had played the Suzuki violin previously. So and then I continued that for a couple of years, but then I didn't keep that up either, because the bass was a really big instrument, even though I loved it, and it was like taller than me, and it was like hardship carrying it around and stuff. So but I've always
that's it, maybe this idea of interrupted education of something. So it could be as simple as that. All right, thank you for that. I think we're going to, oh, we already have that there. All right, so these are some of the questions, but you know what? I have this at the end, so we're going to save this for the end. I have this is duplicated. So the main theme for this one is, I think. We already know it's air and mutable, the twins. It is active yang masculine, and it rules the lungs, the arms, the hands, as well as other parts. We'll get into that later. So Yeats said, think like a wise man, but communicate it in the language of the people. So even though you may have higher ideas, concepts, it's important to be able to find the wording, the languaging, such that others can receive that information. You know, so it's about processing information as well. So the purpose, which of course you'll recognize this from Demetra's book, is to learn and connect with others via the dissemination of information. My beloved teacher, Jeffrey Brock, said that Mercury is the lantern of the mind. Mercury's function is the development of the mind through the process of acceleration for the purpose of relatedness or correspondence. So then that's another thing that takes us back perhaps to early childhood, is what kind of education did we receive? Is it something in which we were indoctrinated in a particular way, along a particular line of thinking? Indoctrination is the typical educational model used in the Western world, and especially in the United States. And in fact, the US public education model is, believe it or not, I don't know about now. No, not now, but up until at least my generation and my sons, it was modeled on the indoctrination of, I hate to even say it, the Nazis. It's like, you know, a particular way. And this is all documented. I don't remember where I found it way back when, but or were we given the opportunity to develop our mind as independent thinkers by being able to ask questions, not be indoctrinated? This is the way it is, you know, and that's it. But rather a more Socratic method, a more experiential method, such as what the Montessori, Maria Montessori created, the Montessori method, which was about tactile exploration, etc., or the Waldorf system, or, you know, so many others, and that I hope that continue to be developed for future generations. I pulled our son out of, actually, I don't think I had him more than first year or two, because I detest the educational model. He did go to a Jewish school in pre-K and kindergarten, and then a Catholic school, believe it or not, for a few months, pulled him out of that. The Jewish school was great. But because we're not Jewish, they wouldn't let him continue. But they used a more Montessori-like system. There was no religion involved at that time in that age group. And then I got him into Montessori, and that was awesome, but it's also expensive. Anyways, and then homeschooled him. And I believe that I'd rather do unlearning than indoctrination. And that's why I pulled him out. I don't know about you guys, but I have
agreed.
Pardon? You agree?
Agreed. Yep.
I have very, very strong feelings about education and children and women. Anyways, so some of the key words. So remember, jot down with the ones that kind of pop out that you want to explore this week. Communication, transportation, short distance, because the opposite is long distance, okay? Learning style, curious, mental, quick-witted, variety-seeking, social, versatile, intelligence, brilliant, information, playful, gossip, networking, the messenger, and messages. Jack of all trades, master of none, humor, and broadcasting. So it's broadcasting because we are literally casting our words out, right? And then third house is your neighborhood, your siblings and sibling relationship, and early childhood education. I don't know. I'll put this up in the group so that so you'll have the visual and you can take better notes. So the dissemination of information, a key question to ask ourselves this week. What do you circulate into the mental environment? Social media is a fabulous example of the mental environment. We're able to see and communicate with others all over the place. So if social media is both the 3rd and the 9th, it's both Mercury and Jupiter, it's both Gemini and Sagittarius, because we're taking that immediate environment of our own mind, right? Our own mental environment, and reaching out to people all over the planet, Jupiter 9th and Sag, to continue to gather ideas, to disseminate information. I don't know where you both stand, but one of my biggest pet peeves is censorship. I am dead set against any kind of censorship because I think information, people, we have free will. We have to develop the mind. And for that, we need to be able to know what we're dealing with and then hopefully do research. Now, that brings the other sign ruled by Mercury. Mercury rules Gemini here and then Virgo in the 6th. There's a different feel for Mercury in both of these signs. Now, in both scenarios, it deals with information. But in Gemini, it's more about gathering as much information as we can, right? In Mercury, in Virgo, we have to discern what pieces of information, that's where the research end of it comes in. We discern, all right, of everything that's on the table, of all the information that I've looked into and I'm researching, what is what I keep? What will work for me? What will I utilize? What will I keep in my mind? so yeah, so you've got all this information that we're putting inside of our heads, inside our minds. And then we have this idea of satellites that are all over the earth. And again, this give and take, this sending and receiving of information via technology. So the Hermetic principle of as above, so below, as within, so without. It's like, okay, what's being reflected here, both individually and collectively, via all this information. So the images in your head are like an information satellite that is received and feeds information and data back out into the environment. So is your out picturing matching the inner pictures and words and thoughts? So I guess what I'm asking you to explore this week is this. It's like, okay, I see what's outside in my external environment. How is that an out picturing of my inner mental condition? Another place for us to explore is community. So again, this relates the third and the ninth very much. The local community is the third, and the global community is the ninth. But it's shrinking, isn't it? It's like, it's a small world. It really is a small world after all, you know, and the more we use technology, the smaller and tighter that community becomes. I actually have better friends far away. I mean, look at this. All three of us are in different places, and we're connected in a way that I'm not connected with my own family, you know?
Absolutely. Agreed.
So community is a really good one to explore, and make the connections with the people that we feel support us and our previous sign Taurus values, and that can hear us, or that we are that somehow we are in a reciprocal relationship with, in the kind of information that makes a difference in your lives, our lives. So we each have something to bring out into the community. All right, so this is why I was laughing, because I should have taken this freaking slide off, but I can't. So this is myself with my brothers.
Look at
And
you.
yeah, this was how many years ago? 57 now. I believe I was 45. I don't remember.
Raven hair beauty. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, very nice picture.
Thank you. I do love my brothers, but we are no longer in touch with each other, and it freaking kills me. So it is important to maybe explore the condition of your relationships with your siblings. We may or may not have the kind of relationship we'd like. We used to be very close, and they're both younger than me. One has been to prison, and that has been a major point of contention, and a process of forgiveness. So the reason that siblings are so important for those of us that have them is because in Gemini and in the third house, we learn to relate to others via the relationship we have with our siblings. It's said that, you know, the first god or goddess that we see our mother or father as god or goddess, right? But it's our siblings that we have that, like, oh, I'm not saying marriage partner, but there's that's literally where we learn relationship from, because they are our contemporaries.
It's true.
But our parents, because they're bigger, no, they're God, they're up here, but not our siblings. Even though the youngest one is 10 years younger than me, and he considers me like his second mom, or did. The idea is that if there's anything in our adult relationships and partnerships, whether it's a romantic one or a business relationship and partnership, we can go back in time to see if there are any parts that we need to look at in our early childhood, the way we related with them. Does that make sense?
I don't want to make you cry anymore, but
Okay.
I have one brother that I was born with, raised with, 5 years older than me, and I've always been like big sister, even though I'm the little sister, and we had very, very, very close relationship, and we still do. But he did this act of betrayal 2023, it was last year, and it just caused me to pause and just kind of re-examine like our whole sibling relationship. And we have made event, like we've, what is it called, healed from it, but our relationship is different now. And it was just like, we were very close. It's the only one I grew up with, and I don't know why he did it. It was like to kind of tarnish and sully like my reputation with someone new that I don't really understand. And it just put me in a place, because it was like backtracking, like, man, he's vying so hard for our mother's affections, like move me out of the way, because he always like, oh, you're the golden child and this and that and everything. I don't know, it was just so bizarre. And I'm just like, we're adults, but like these things play out from childhood that you don't realize and stuff. And I love my brother. I will always love my brother. I know he loves me, but now I'm like, oh, this is weirdness, like this. Maybe you love me out of obligation because I'm your little sister, but maybe you really kind of like have this weird, like, mom loves you better than me sort of thing. I like weird thing that I didn't know. So I'm like this weird competition thing that I didn't know. And I'm just like, I've been so vulnerable with you over the years. I had no idea, like, you secretly hated me. Like, wow, like this kind of, I have to re-examine everything now, and so, like I said, we interact now. That's because of course, I didn't forgive him for him. I forgave him for myself. But it's just weird. It's because, like, what do I do with that? Like, I know that you did this. I know that you betrayed me on purpose in that moment. Like, I don't know why you did it. I don't understand it. You never explained to me why you did it. It's just, you apologized for it after I withdrew myself, and eventually I decided to start talking to you again. So I'm like, it's not like a weird elephant in the room, but it is weird for me if I sit down and it's too quiet and I'm thinking, and then I'll be like, what was that about? It got really windy. I'm gonna mute myself.
So he never clarified?
No, he just apologized.
Okay,
He never
so
clarified for why he did that though.
and he may never do it, he may
If
never
I
do
asked
it.
him, he might, but I just kind of was like, let lying dogs lie. But
Yeah, it's kind of like you don't have to, you can choose to be at peace about it, but being as where was your moon again?
in
Yeah,
Libra,
that's what I thought. And in the third house, there's and conjunct Pluto. So it almost seems like making peace with it is ideal for some people, but not necessarily for you. It may be hard to let go of, well, the mystery of why it happened.
because that's like I'm sorry. I was just gonna say something that was from the other class that I didn't put in the group yet about myself. Like the thing that you said, like I think from Aries, it was just like that really bothers you or pushes your buttons. And the thing that really pushes my buttons is injustice, or what is it called? injustice or like disloyalness, like, you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
it's just
betrayal sucks.
right.
Um,
Yeah. So I just, when I saw your reaction after the, you know, the beautiful picture, I think, because I still have pictures of us around the house, and it's just kind of like bittersweet. So, yeah.
yeah. Um, so for what it's worth, and I don't know if I brought it up in the past, but um, if it resonates for you, I don't know, Lynn, you haven't chimed in yet, but radicalforgiveness.com. If you're not familiar with Colin Tipping's work, he's passed on, he was British, but look up radicalforgiveness.com and print out the forgiveness worksheets and do one on your brother and see, because these are patterns. Astrology is all about patterns,
Yes.
and these are early childhood patterns with our siblings. And your mother, in your case, your mother is absolutely involved because the moon is there.
Right.
And so it'll be something worth looking at to see. And again, the moon is also time, it's karma. So there's something there. And that's why I was saying kind of make peace with not ever getting an answer necessarily.
I did.
But
It's just seeing you and your response just kind of made me feel like, yeah, I know what that feels like, you know, because like I love these people, and from like a visceral level, but it's like, but things are unable to be the way that they were because of A, B, and C. So it's better to make peace or drive myself crazy. So
yeah, but you can make the peace. You can get the why. Here's how, this is what I feel, and I need to do this. I'm gonna commit to me doing this because I just realized I haven't done it. I'm gonna do radical forgiveness worksheets on both of these mofos, and and see what pattern shows up.
okay.
That's where we get our answers from an inner spiritual level. So for what it's worth, I offer that to you, and I'm going to do it myself. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make a note to myself.
Thank you. This is good because I had no, like, yeah, because like I said, like with my 22, he has done betrayal things to his older and younger sibling. So it's just like, you know, just like, wow, you're just
Family
thinking,
patterns.
yes, right. So I'm just like, what is this? Yeah.
And because of the North Node also there, Ayana, I would say that you have the choice in this lifetime to break that. It's almost okay. Pluto could be seen as a curse, so to speak, right? It's the shadow. The moon is family, it's karma. So it's almost like generational curse, moon Pluto. In Libra, relationships that play out in 3 early childhood, but the North Node there for you is saying, but you can break those generational curse that has created imbalance within family relationship structures.
You know what?
That
Think
Mars and Venus, pardon?
I'm sorry, I was just thinking this is profound. So I'm just thinking my father has, you know, relationship issues with my aunts, so I'm like, I have that on my dad's side. And my mom
Mhm.
didn't know, but my only uncle who has, passed away or whatever, um,
Mhm.
he had severe like hate towards my mom that she didn't know about until he got later on and almost before he was about to pass away. And she was like, are you talking about something that like from our childhood, like when we were like 10? And he was like holding on to it as like a 40, I mean, as like a 60, 70-year-old man holding on to stuff. So I'm just like, wow. And it's like the younger siblings seem to always be blindsided by it. Like, how would I know that you felt like this about me? And over something with mom or over something with this person, like how would I have known that sort of a thing? So I'm like, that is a generational, and I'm thinking about it. I'm like, it's on both sides of my
Yeah.
father and mother side. There's issues there.
That's true.
Mhm.
that, and to me that I'm sure part of your life mission is working through that. It just sounds spot on. Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, my intention is that something will come up in all our charts, your charts as the participants, that you can take to work in some deep level. This might just be it. But you'll report back to us at the end of the course and say, which was the one?
You know I will.
Yeah, indeed. And then this will open things up, you know. I don't know what, but it most certainly will. I have a feeling it'll be possibly the opposite end. Anyways, thank you for sharing and being vulnerable and sharing that with us.
Thank you.
Lynn, what about yourself?
For me, I have a few things that come up. I have two sisters and a brother that I don't think they know that I exist. Now, when we were kids, do they know now? I don't know. But so there's that thing of, you know, my father went on and he had another family, and I wasn't in the picture, and I know in high school I knew they didn't know about me. And then for me, the brother I grew up with, a younger brother, very close in age, but we were close but not close. Like I know of some people where their siblings, like they're just like best buddies, and they're talking to each other all the time, and they have such a bond or whatever. So for me, I feel like there's a bond of a kind. I feel like we want the best for each other, that we love each other like as like family, as blood, but we seem to have so little in common. We don't share a lot of things that are in common, and we've lived most of our lives far apart. Like I'm in Atlantic, Canada, and my brother's living in the Toronto area. So it's like I have a brother, but it's a very distant relationship. Even though we do have time together, you know, at least once a year we come together or whatever, but we're not close. Like, and will it change in the future? I don't know. Like, I mean, I'd like it to be more. And I think he's open to it as well. It's just, it's almost part of it is the circumstance of being far away, having so little in common seems to be part of it. So that's kind of where my sibling story is at.
Okay. So how will difference age with the ones that were from your father's other?
Actually, I'm not totally sure, but like I know one was like, I don't know, let's say a couple years younger than me, and then
Not that much.
so I mean, we were going to the same high school, and I'd be like, oh my God, she kind of looks like me. And then, and as far as I knew, she didn't know that I existed or whatever. But, and, you know, I was like 16 or something. So I wasn't going to go up to her and go like, hey, you know, do you know we got the same father or whatever. So, and then, you know, life kind of takes you in different places, and I never did pursue it at that time. And now, I mean, you know, years go by and stuff. And so I've never gone to pursue and try to find them and see if, you know, would we connect, or, you know, I never took that route. Like for me, it wasn't even an option. I didn't consider it at all. Now, as I'm getting older, you know, maybe it'd be different, but yeah, just didn't go there. Just, you know, because I didn't even know if they even knew about me.
So does the radical forgiveness worksheet to help you see if there's any pattern at play resonate for you?
The pattern is always a flag. I mean, because there's usually more going on than we realize, like we're not consciously aware of. So if it makes me more aware, it's probably a good idea. I might recognize something from doing it.
Yeah, kind of like fake it till you make it kind of a thing, I guess. But the idea of absence just comes up. I mean, they don't even know if you don't even know if they know you exist. It's like this whole absence thing, so could there be a pattern of people just being absent to you, or in your, I don't know if how your other relationships.
Well, yeah, like I find the absence seems a bit of a theme. Like as you're saying it, I'm thinking, yeah, I think it's a bit of a theme. Like I mean, I do have the fourth house planets, with Pluto, Uranus there, and I mean, you have family and you love each other, but yet in a sense, I say there's an absence theme. Um, people do what they can, they do the best they can, as they know and everything. But yeah, it seems to be a theme. It'd be interesting actually to understand it better.
So if you were to do a radical forgiveness worksheet, what it looks like is something like, you have to say, well, what I'm upset at, whatever, this sibling, because something like, it could be something as simple, because you may not have anger, but what if you write something like, she never reached out, she never tried to find out about me, she never made an attempt to connect with whatever, so however it's true for you. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but yeah, I keep hearing the idea of absence in your shares. So
Yeah, and it's interesting that that comes up, and yeah, and for me when I think about it, and it kind of seems to kind of filter in some other, things or whatever, it just makes me wonder why. Like why
mhm.
why is there the absence theme? Like why, and does it play into the idea of the Venus and Uranus idea of just breaking free from patterns? And to break the pattern, sometimes you have to have maybe a bit of a void in order to end it or to know it, or sometimes when there's nothing, it's like it's being taken away. So
Mhm.
I don't know, I'd have to think about it more and maybe, do the worksheet or and see what kind of ideas come up. Like, because in a way, it's always kind of puzzled me. Like, you go like, I wonder why it's like that. Like, or why does that happen? Or why is the situation like that? So for me, it's kind of been a question mark. Like, why? Why is it like that? And I'll have to think more about it and just, do the exercises and see what comes up.
Yeah, I would certainly encourage you to do that. And what I have found through that work is that invariably, you mentioned being puzzled. We get, and I had a slide that had puzzle pieces in the community one.
Mhm.
Invariably, we find those missing pieces. And with betrayal, Ayana, and absence, Lynn, um, we could end up finding a pattern of how we may have betrayed ourselves, or how we may not have shown up at times for ourselves, been absent. So just be open to whatever healing these these opportunities bring us, whether it's radical forgiveness in this case with siblings, or answering other questions for the archetypes. I need to take a quick break to the bathroom, so can we do a couple minutes here? I'll leave this slide up. Oh, that's
Yeah.
up there twice.
I'll go get something to drink.
All right, I'll be right back.
Okay.
Oh. Wow, how many slides? Oh, here Okay. Thank you, Ayana, for getting the radical forgiveness worksheet in the chat. I haven't opened it, but actually, just so you know, there's the radical forgiveness worksheet, there's self-forgiveness, and then there was a global one for like social political ones that he did many
Wow.
years ago. So those are all there. And given given world scenarios, it's not a bad idea to do that too. All right, so why is this up? Okay, so yeah, just these little bubbles of communication. Some of the things we say are verbal, but the thought bubbles and the things we think and uh, about somebody else, we may not hear it, this way, but we certainly pick up on either body language or intuitively, empathically. So again, that's yet another place of trying to notice these things in ourselves. And most of the beliefs that we have about ourselves or life happen as a result of, again, that early childhood tape, especially if parents or teachers or churches or whatever repeatedly said things to us. Our little brains are absorbent little sponges, and we take that on very deeply. So we have to undo a lot of the damage from the early childhood communications. Yeah. Whoa, what happened here? Oh. All right, so as far as the tarot cards, it's just a bunch of, boy, I really got to update this one. It's the Magician card. Mercury is the Magician card. And Gemini is the Lover's card. I'll get to that one later. So, where is it? I have my show and tell here. So, your word is that wand, not the word, but the power of mental focus. It's that wand that the magician is holding up to divine consciousness, to the upper echelons of higher mind, higher consciousness, or the divine. And we direct it through our focus. The energy channels through us and we direct it with our focus. Sorry, I'm dizzy. Oof. I turned my neck and it seemed to. Sorry, I'll get my mojo back.
Yeah, take some time.
Just a lot of images here having to do with the archetype, how the teacher and the storyteller, they can either be people that clearly, as we see in some of these, hypnotize the masses through speech and leads to destruction, or one that speaks with love and compassion is able to bring our own energy levels up and heal. So that's me when I was at university. So our teachers. So basically just also to think back to who our teachers were in school. Did you have a favorite one? Or did you have one that you didn't like? And what beliefs did you end up adopting into your consciousness resulting from that? And it's also television. And again, bringing it back to social media and the idea of being brainwashed, hypnotized, having our minds closed down, rotting, if we're not aware of the ways that technology is used against us. The idea of the conspiracy theorist was very maligned, but the truth is that those are the researchers. They are the ones that question. We don't take things at face value just because the guy on TV says it. So knowing ourselves and the Delphic instruction to know thyself has a lot to do with this archetype and questioning everything, which is huge in this archetypal energy, to literally question things, which is my favorite quote from a Pisces, as a matter of fact, being Einstein: question everything. So Aristotle said, it is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. So it's okay, listen to everything and then discern, then think about it, research it. The words that you receive, the messages we receive from the world externally, if it inspires you, if it makes you feel good about yourself, then, go ahead and take it in. But if not, let it go. It just doesn't belong in our minds and our consciousness. So Mercury also has a lot to do with healing and with the hands, because it rules the hands, it rules the breath. Yoga is connected to this archetype, both to Mercury via Gemini and to Mercury via Virgo. So it's interesting, Ayana, how you were sharing about the teaching of yoga and the training that you're in. So that's Mercury right there. Doing some kind of breath work or yoga or related things. It could be Tai Chi or Qigong. But breath work in particular is very powerful as a tool for healing, as in shamanic breath work. The healing energy from our hands and the chakras in our palms, Reiki, or even the treatments given by Christian Scientists or Science of Mind practitioners. I don't know if Unity does it, but I know Science of Mind does. Those are all the use of positively energized thought that is transferred or realized in the patient or client that is having the mental treatment. Yeah, just before we speak, before we open up our mouths to say anything, make sure that these words are beautiful, that they're inspiring, that they're healing, because it's better not to say anything. Saying things in anger is literally cursing and putting a negative spell on a person, and that's karmic. It comes back to us. So this archetype is hugely important in terms of the way that we create our reality, both our personal reality and our consensus reality. The idea of focus. Once again, the magician is focusing an energy flow from divine mind into our personal garden in order to create a world that is, I can't say it any other way, beautiful, graceful, and divinely inspired. Speak your truth, sing your love, dance your soul, and free your spirit. I love this thing. I have no clue where I got this from, but I love it. That's pretty cool. So Michael Jordan said, the most basic and powerful way to connect to another person is to listen. Just listen. Perhaps the most important thing we ever give each other is our attention. A loving silence often has far more power to heal and to connect than the most well-intentioned words. So that's another piece to maybe consider. I can't read what this says. Oh, what is reality? It is the range of frequencies that we are decoding and how we are decoding them. So again, going back to Mercury retrograde is a time to slow down and do this reality check. And oh, that's what I had started to say in the beginning, that with Mercury retrograde in our natal charts, usually, not always, but usually it means that we are better able to navigate those Mercury retrograde periods in the year than the vast majority of people that do not have it natally. It's more challenging for them. That's not 100% true all the time. It depends on the sign and what, our own chart. If the Mercury retrograde is something that's activating or triggering something in our natal chart, challenging it. Make sense? No, I already did that one. Yeah, we did this one, so I'm gonna kind of skip this one. All right, so I told you that I had duplicated that other slide, so here it is. So air is the metaphor of the energy of mind. These are questions for you, and I'll put this in the group, okay? What kind of thoughts occupy your mind? Are you in control of your thinking? Are you ready to share your creative ideas, goals, and visions to your community? What kind of mental images are you projecting onto the planet? Let me make an aside here on that one. There's a lot of fear going on the planet right now, and has been the tool for the last 4 years. I'm not talking politics. I'm talking the bigger picture here. So anything that stirs up fear thoughts or causes fear to invade your emotional body is something to say, now, hold on. That's a thought that I will look at it. I will entertain it as something to just look at, but I'm not letting it into my mind. I will not let fear infect my mind. I will not let fear infect my emotional body. And so when you have the media just constantly bombarding with fear thoughts or thoughts that are based on fear agendas, it is absolutely a time to pull back and question whatever is being pushed. Because our attention, keep in mind the magician always, our attention, our focused thought, our focused emotions create consensus reality. This whole thing that just happened last week with the eclipse. Oh my God, social media in every which way or form, and the news and TV, everything was about the fear agenda on this, just different things. So we somehow allow that to feed us if we don't create healthy boundaries. And then we end up projecting it right back out into the system. I'm not telling you what to believe. I'm actually telling you, question it before it becomes a belief that you anchor into your consciousness. Whoops. Go back. All right, back to the questions. Are you clearly communicating with others in your life? What is the nature of your self-talk cycle? Are you utilizing your mind as a tool for the highest expression of your soul? How can you expand your higher mind? Are your thoughts clear or muddied, stormy or peaceful? So those are some good journaling ones to take with you. And then these are the affirmations that I had come up with. I speak words that create and honor a truly healthy world. I share positive thoughts that enlighten and educate. I communicate with love and respect with everyone in my life. I outpicture only loving, life-affirming images that sustain a healthy world. I easily assimilate new information, creating new healthy neural pathways in my brain. I breathe deeply into my body, renewing my lungs and sending healing energy into each cell. I process information, consciously choosing only thoughts that elevate my consciousness. My mind works gracefully under the guidance of my soul and spirit's wisdom. So if any one of those or whatever resonate for you, that could be more that you could add to your journal. I can probably come up with more. What is this? Sylvia's version of Hermetic science. Oh, yeah. This was a play on words. The world you see outside of you is a reflection of the world you image in your mind's eye, imagine. And of course, magician has the word mage in it, which is imagination and imagination, all these plays on words. But yeah, the idea of the outpicturing. Remember I told you, Ayana, that what you were sharing in the beginning, I had a slide?
Yeah, that's me. That's pretty much me.
That's how I'm feeling right now. I am super dizzy. I don't know what the heck happened. Just if it's of interest to you to study different systems, it could be hypnosis, it could be neuro-linguistic programming. If you're not aware of it, you could look into different patents that the US government and the CIA and all of that have, that uses technology which people used to, until now, accuse conspiracy theorists of making crap up. Well, it ain't crap when it's got patents made by our governments and used against us in marketing and the different technologies that communicate ideas to us. 5G, I'm just going to say that, just if you're not aware of 5G and of its negative effects, please look into it. It is outlawed in certain countries in Europe, but here we are after during the shutdown that we had in the US. I don't know about Canada, but all of a sudden 5G towers everywhere that there's a school, while we were in shutdown 4 years ago. And 5G is frequency-based warfare. That falls under the scope of this archetype, and we need to be very careful about where we live and our exposure to these frequencies. So there we go. What's this one? So this was another kind of play on words that I had come up with, combining these planets and what they represent. The moon being habits, the sun being the light of our awareness, the earth is here and now, Mars is action, Mercury is our thinking process, and Jupiter is expansion. So kind of like putting all that together in a sentence, what do you need to shift in your mental thought processes, followed by inspired action, so that you might expand your consciousness that leads to greater fulfillment here on Earth? Oh, no, okay, no, go back. This one's good. Robert Anton Wilson. Since we all create our habitual reality tunnels, brilliant, either consciously and intelligently or unconsciously and mechanically. I prefer to create for each hour the happiest, funniest, and most romantic reality tunnel consistent with the signals my brain apprehends. I feel sorry for people who persistently organize experience into sad, dreary, and hopeless reality tunnels and try to show them how to break the bad habit, but I don't feel any masochistic duty to share their misery. This, I think, is extremely powerful, and that, again, it has a lot to do with consensus reality and our place in it. And neurosurgery and the way that the brain functions all work with this. Two people can be in the same, standing side by side, and have completely different experience of the exact same event, depending upon their mental attitude towards life. So it boils down to choice. It boils down to choice. And that actually brings up the Lover's card, which is Gemini in the tarot deck, which has to do with choice. Just question reality is what this one is. And relationship through the art of communication. My husband and I teach experiential programs, and this was up in the mountains of North Georgia, and it was just a game that we did in the woods. And it's all about communication. So relationship is based, even though relationship is Venus, there's the component between Venus and Mercury, which you can't separate out. Of course, Freddie Mercury. And I thought about the winged boots that Mercury wears, but I saw these and I thought, how cool is that? And we already discussed Mercury retrograde, so that's what this slide was supposed to be about. Whoops. We're almost at the end, so now where am I? Books, just whether we like to read or write. See, like here, this is the book I wrote, and I have self-published it. So this is my moon coaching playbook, and I haven't published it in a couple years. I used to publish it every year, and it's about taking you through. Let me see if I can find a good page.
I love that it's a
It
spiral.
takes you. It has to be spiral because it's almost 300 pages. So they're journal prompts that guide you through each of the lunar months. And I am going to toot my own horn after all the people that freaking literally plagiarized me or copied my idea. There isn't a single publication that comes anywhere near what I created. And that thing is my blood, sweat, and tears production. And I'm proud of it. But I just got really tired. It's a lot of work that used to go into it. And I just got tired of having my own, I even had my own students plagiarize me and tell me to my face that they try to copy it. Anyways, so
oh my gosh.
putting your ideas out into the world is so important with this archetype, that if there's something that you're passionate about, the way that I was passionate about astrology and the moon and creating with it, then, do it, just do it. Anyways, just that. Were you going to say something? So I thought I heard a voice.
I was just proud of you, proud of your book and everything. I was just proud.
Thank you. All right, Mercury and astrology. Oh, that's right. This is going into one of my other books. So I see Mercury as the capacity that I have in my mental body, which I named my clarity antenna. It helps to clear my mental focus when my mind becomes confused or overloaded with data. I step into the sign's qualities and element to quiet my conscious mind so that I can better assimilate information and communicate with coherence and be more connected with higher mind, I should say here. So this is one way of you that you can read your Mercury. If you kind of take this and plug in the your interpretation based on that. Humor is a very big portion of this. So as heavy as life has been for everybody lately, do take humor breaks, have fun and play. Playfulness and childlike playfulness is actually in the 5th archetype, right? With Leo, the sun in the 5th house. But that innocence of just laughing and laughing and laughing to me is very much the Gemini and Mercury, especially if you're hanging upside down. Absolutely. So I don't know, do something that's fun like this. Maybe even something that you used to like before school told you, no, you got to sit down with your hands folded on your desk like I did in Catholic school with the nuns, that kind of a thing. So let yourself loose in some way. Try to do something that's outside of the box. This is not just the playful way of thinking, but it has to do with the trickster side of Mercury. Give yourself permission to to kind of be taken over in a sort of, or explore the trickster part of the archetype and see if that doesn't show you a different way of viewing and experiencing life. What new lens can you utilize that'll give you a new way of looking at things. So this is just more about humor and playfulness. And even the monks who spent their time focused on chanting and I love that. All right, so shadow and humor of this one. These are all of the negatives. Just like with the other signs, I asked you to pick one shadow. You may want to choose one of these, the one that resonates for you the most. Jack of all trades, master of none syndrome, being flighty and unable to focus on something, spinning too many plates, ADHD, whatever that is, not being able to commit, lies and not being truthful falls here. Talking too much, head in the clouds, plagiarism. I gotta move this here. Plagiarism and thievery, forgetfulness, absent-mindedness, traffic, rumors, gossip, nervous disorders, and respiratory diseases. Don't take it in. Transmute what you need to transmute. Is there any one of these or the shadow of anything that we talked about today that you're going to work on other than radical forgiveness on siblings and finding patterns there?
I guess I'll work on the jack of all trades, master of none syndrome.
Okay, good one to do. For that, you're going to need to pick one thing to focus on.
I know.
Just for this week. It doesn't have to be forever. Just practice.
How could we do something with respiratory diseases? What would that look like?
Well, funny you should ask that, because I have my show and tell coming up next. This is a neti pot.
Mm-hmm.
This is one thing. So neti pot to clear sinuses. Remember, it's breath. So this clears the nasal passages. Or it could be something as simple as an inhaler, which this one is really powerful and strong. I also make my own with eucalyptus. You can do eucalyptus, rosemary, which was Aries, and basil, which is Gemini. And either do an inhaler, they sell those, or put it in a pot and do the old-fashioned thing with a towel over your head.
Okay.
Breathe that in. Those are just some ideas
Okay.
for the nervous disorders. Being that I've been having my dizzy attacks lately, I have homeopaths. This one is for dizziness triggered by moving the head. I don't know, does that answer the question? Just
Yes, it
Lynn?
does. Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Lynn, did you pick one?
I think I'm gonna go with head in the clouds, because it kind of goes in with being forgetful and absent-minded, and
Okay.
to be a little more focused, but not all in my head. Like to not get too carried away with it, right? That I still have to manage the things that are around me. So I'm gonna.
Okay. Let me write these down because I want to be able to witness you guys. Leanna was Jack of all trades. And I am going to choose inability to focus. Oops. So what I have, and I is my happy planner. Too many happy planners, and I can never decide which one to use. So I'm going to start mine. And actually, the one that I think I'm going to stick with is this one, which has an hourly version. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do focus using, and I'm going to use that. All right. Oh, and remember, other people in our lives is part of our homework. If you know anybody that's either Gemini or has strong Gemini Mercury in their charts, watch them, observe them, see what they have to teach you. Oh yeah, airhead. I forgot. That's why I picked that. The bubble head, the airhead. In the body, brain, mind, and nervous system, hands and arms. And this is what I discovered. And I believe that it is, and I hope that it isn't. I've been keeping an eye on it. A brown recluse spider, which I've had happen before. So wouldn't you know, it happened when I was working on Gemini. Lungs and breath. So you'll notice as you consider these body parts and systems that it has to do with the relaying of information in our body. They are the messengers of the body, symbols, and it correlates to the metaphor of disseminating information, right? The stones are agate, rutilated quartz. The metal is quicksilver, and the herb is holy basil, specifically holy basil. So it is also the essential oil. So Gemini energy tends to be, all over the place, and we can get distracted is another great key word for shadow with this. And just since it rules the nervous system, there's this tendency to be hyped up in our nervous system. So this helps. Holy basil combat stress. And let's see what else. Remember, I told you about frequency, like 5G and other technologies. So it helps with radiation poisoning, has antibacterial properties, etc. So there's a lot that we can do with the holy basil. For music, I tend to choose music that has harp or wind instruments. This one on the left side here is called a bandoneon. That's a picture of my father playing his bandoneon, and people mistakenly call it an accordion, and he gets pissed off because it's not the same. It has buttons on both sides, and it relies on on air. Okay, so air goes in and out. The strings of a harp, there's certain instruments in India, etc. And just a sense of lightheartedness, of just lightness of being. So find something that you'd like to share, music wise, in the group that you feel is this archetype. In food, I have chosen fortune cookies because it has a message inside. Meringue, I don't know how to say it. How do you say that word in English?
Meringue.
Meringue.
Meringue. Okay. Meringue. I say merengue in Spanish. Because that's made with having the oven open and letting air pretty much into it. It's just airy. Anyway, so just share foods and eat foods that feel airy to you or mercurial. So we've discussed how the second house has to do with early childhood and communication, your grade school education and teachers, the style, your learning style, and your siblings, your local neighborhood, and concrete mind, the logical mind. So, of course, the other two air houses are the seventh, which have to do with relationships, and we'll do that with Venus, and the 11th with Aquarius and Uranus, having to do with groups and community. But for now, we're sticking with the, why did I say second house there? Oh, I'm sorry, it should say third house, but the information is correct. The yoga pose, I like the idea of the airplane pose. So it's pretty easy, you know, this one's a totally easy one to do. So try that on for size. And as I mentioned earlier, the tarot keys associated with this are the Lover's card for Gemini and the Magician, key 1 for Mercury. So I would invite you to take a wand, whichever wand. I hope it could be a pen, because hey, a pen is a wand, right? A pen is a communication device.
Yep, I was gonna say a right.
And yes, and stand in that position, you know, and just imagine, use the power of your imagination to call this energy, you know, hold your wand up, point your finger down to your garden, and see what comes to you. Make this come alive for you. With the Lover's card, you know, unless you have other people in there to play this out with you, that's a little bit more difficult, but you can instead visualize the aspects of your consciousness, which is what this card represents. The man is the concrete mind. The woman is the subconsciousness, and the angel is the superconsciousness. So the idea is to create this triangle of communication between your everyday conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and your higher superconscious mind. That is how we should be living our lives, from this integration and choosing, making the choice to listen to bring the two or lower aspects of consciousness, the everyday conscious mind and subconsciousness, under the guidance of the superconsciousness, the divine mind, rather than allowing our ego to run the show, or the lower aspects of us. So that's in a nutshell. But Lynn, if you would like to chime in with that, if you have anything that you'd like to add about either the Magician or the Lovers.
The thing that comes to mind really is the idea of balance, like a balance between the mind and the desires, and working for that balance, and also being open to inspiration with the angel there.
Beautiful. Thank you. Ayana, if you wanted, I don't know if you're familiar with tarot or not. I know that Lynn is, that's why I asked her to add something there.
I'm vaguely familiar with tarot, so I don't feel I'm not familiar enough to speak on it to make a correlation, but I'm going to figure something out so that I can put it in the group.
Okay, fair enough. And here we have the Gemini moon mantras. So I'll put this one also again in the group, so you can choose one or more that resonates for you if you want to use them. I really like I am lighthearted and I laugh often, because I think it's important to bring in humor. We get so bogged down with our spiritual path, and Mercury reminds us it doesn't have to be serious all the time. So I'll put that up there for you. All right. And the self-knowledge questions I'll also put in the group. So you already know the sign on the third house cusp, but what does it mean to you? That's where it's important. It doesn't matter what I say, what any book says, what any astrologer says. It's what does it mean to you? And remembering your early childhood education, and see if you can correlate it to the sign and or planets in your third house. Who are your favorite and least favorite teachers? My favorite teacher was my 4th grade teacher, Sister Richards, and my 8th grade teacher, Miss Gibbons, who both taught me important lessons, especially Mrs. Gibbons, because she was very much into the singing and what do you call Broadway plays, etc. And I didn't use my voice very well, and I was bullied as a child, so I had a hard time speaking up. Anyways, she had us sing a song. From which play did she? West Side Story. That it was West Side Story at that time, and I couldn't get my note. I was terrified of singing in public and using my voice in public. So she put her head to my lungs, my back, and taught me found my natural voice, my natural pitch, or whatever it's called. And I was blown away by my own voice. That was an incredible experience. Anyways, so think about who had the most impact on both of you when you were little in school. How did I relate to my siblings, which we covered it. Of course, we started touching into Mercury and your communication style. What am I curious about? What house Gemini rules? What do I think and talk a lot about in that house affairs? What do I like to explore and research? Am I aware of which my preferred learning style is? Am I generally more left brain, right brain, or whole brain oriented? Do I involve myself in my community? How do I process information? How effectively do I communicate my thoughts? Is there room for me to improve my communication with others? If I have Mercury retrograde natally, do I honor it by going within to listen to my inner promptings before I speak up? And we know that all 3 of us have it, so that's a very good question. Home play, anything that has to do with communication, siblings, early education. Speaking of my Gemini, I have a Gemini husband. Lungs and breath, shadow, and if you have the workbook from Dimitri, you can do that. I'll still post the pages. And we come to the final one. So we already did this. After I said that I was going to leave it for the end, we did it anyways in the beginning. But is there anything that either one of you want to bring up or have question or feedback about your own chart with this archetype?
No, not me, because you covered everything. We kind of did like a deep dive because we had questions in the middle. So I feel pretty adequate.
Cool. Okay.
Me too.
Lynn?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. I will say, since my husband walked by, that and this we'll get to relationships when we get to 7, but I have Gemini on my 7th house cusp. So the sign that you have on your 7th house cusp oftentimes shows you who you either partner with or marry, or the kind of relationship that you are better suited for. Since I have Gemini there, what's interesting is that I have always been attracted to Geminis, and my South Node, which is Scorpio. Geminis and Scorpios, story of my life. Whether they were teachers or like husband, etc. So it's just an interesting thing to notice. It's like, we'll get there with your Capricorn and Aquarius, but that's just an interesting little side note. Oh, and no, this was the last one. I'm not skipping this. Show and tell. I have my show and tell, but I want to know, did you guys pick your show and tell yet for today?
No, I'm picking it though. I'm picking my things out.
Okay.
It started.
Share something, or I can show you mine and you guys can tell me why I picked it.
Well, because I don't have mine to display. Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say, I don't have mine to display. I actually have some Gemini blend essential oil. I just don't have it to show right now. But I wonder, I think it does have basil in it. So I'm wondering if the other ones are in there too. But I'll be able to pick out yours though.
Okay, so I want to hear post. Well, we can't smell the one, but tell us what's in there in the group. Lynn, did you have anything you said, or?
No, I was thinking about something else, but no, I don't have anything for this yet.
Oh, okay. So I'll go real quick. Monkey, my little monkey dude. And he's holding this frog. See if it's gonna talk for us.
What did he say?
Get ready, you ready? Get ready, here it comes. And then he blows a kiss. So the idea is, this was actually something I got for my son when he was little. The idea is speaking words of love to others or to ourselves. You know, the idea of loving, kind words. And the monkey, because of the monkey mind, instilling the monkey mind, training it so that it serves us rather than we serving it. I have an angel with a bunch of feathers here. I don't know if you can see it. Okay. Let me. Oh, yes. If you guys were here, I would be passing these two around. They're 2 crystal skulls. This one's a lapis lazuli. And this one has this composite stone, but it's got a skull inside of itself. So it's like a double skull, but it's got all these holes. So why would I pick these?
Ooh, that's difficult. I mean, about the crystals, like about what the different crystal, the lapis lazuli, but I'm like the skull because it contains the brain, and the brain is, or because it contains thought, and thought is Gemini, is Mercury.
Yeah.
I might be reaching. Is that right? I'm like, I might be reaching.
That is. No, that's good. That's exactly it. It's because of the brain, and the synapses and the connections that are made between one synapse and the other, and the relay system in the brain, which the skull is a house for. Yes, absolutely.
Well, then I put a skull in my Aries thing.
Yes,
in the
that's
show
correct.
and tell. Okay, we'll say I'm like, oh no, I gotta pull that picture out.
The skull, the head is that, but it's also the idea of the mind for Gemini. So this is just the house, Aries, the house, the brain,
Yeah.
not the brain, I'm sorry, the skull, the head for Gemini thought processes, which the brain represents. Okay. But there's another reason why I have these two, which the only way you're really going to be able to figure it out is by holding them. So I may have to just tell you. However, before I do, Lynn, do you want to take a crack at it?
Well, the only thing that I was thinking of was just the idea that, like, being a skull, that there's a mouth, and the mouth is the
Oh,
communication. That's what was coming to me.
Okay, I like that. That's very true. So if you were here and I would give it to you to hold, this elongated skull just made me feel like, and it's very heavy. This particular one is very heavy. And because of the elongated quality to it, I thought to myself, a mind too filled, overfilled is very heavy. And that's
oh,
contrary to the nature of Mercury. So it's almost like shadow. And this one, on the other hand, is holy. It has holes. So it's kind of like it's lighter, the material. But what I hadn't thought about until I just pulled it up is that there's another skull inside of it. So it's like being of two minds, you know. So
yeah, that's
just,
Gemini
just,
too.
you know, so there's that.
Those
Okay.
are very good
Um,
examples.
you go around your house and ask yourself these things. That's what I do. I walk around the house. I'm like, what's that? All right, so this should be fairly easy. Fairly easy.
Because he's whimsical. He's a fairy, like Peter Pan.
Yep, fairly. Exactly. Peter Pan is absolutely spot on. That is Gemini, Peter Pan. Whimsical.
Yes.
Okay. You guys know what this is?
A pendulum.
Yeah. What do pendulums do?
They help you to discern or
Yeah, make decisions.
divine.
Yep. Okay. You could also see it as a communication tool, right? The
Patience,
Lover's
cool.
card was
Yeah.
about yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's see if I can. These
The
are,
crystal.
yes, however, they are, does it come out?
Uh-huh. There are runes.
Yes, exactly. They're runes. So what are runes?
Also tools of communication and divination, right?
Yep. Yes, and
Okay.
something else. And something else.
Runes aren't they, are they Greek? Are they Viking? What is that? What's the origin of runes?
Viking.
I don't.
Yeah.
Viking.
Norwegian.
Okay.
What were you gonna say,
And
Lynn?
I don't know if you mean like that they're symbols, or like,
Yes, that's good too. Yes, absolutely. You guys are getting close to it.
oh, like language.
Yes,
Because
bingo.
of the
It's an alphabet. Language, alphabet. Exactly. So you guys got it. Oh, okay. Look, a feather, of course, because of
flight or travel, because Mercury rules travel and stuff like that,
mhm.
and the
And
lightness because Gemini is air, so it's like ether, so it's light, like the maybe the
yep.
Mhm.
quality of
And
air is light.
very good. Lynn, where
uh,
did it come from? Where do we get birds? I mean, where do we get feathers from?
from birds, yeah, then birds fly.
There you go. Okay. All right. Oh, my angel is deciding to fall. All right. I'm gonna end with I've got more stuff, but I don't need to because I don't want to go over, and I still haven't pulled. Did you guys said that you both voted for cards, right?
Yes, we did. Yes.
Okay. So here's what I figured. This is an out of print deck, very unusual deck. It's called the Cards of Ashiga, and they have just a word, an image and a word. So I'm gonna pull from here. Come on, where's the last one? I'm gonna pull one word from here for each of us. And then the others. Okay, So I'll do Lynn. Tell me when to stop shuffling for your word.
Okay.
Okay. 2 cuts or 1 cut?
Let's go 2 cuts.
Okay. Ooh, this is a rough one. Jealousy.
Ooh.
It's a green like skin and red
Oh,
eye.
the eye, right. Like the jealous
Jealousy.
eye. Green with envy. Yeah.
Oh, green with envy. That's it. So write that down. I'm going to put it back in the deck. And now Ayana, tell me when to stop shuffling.
Now.
Oh, get in there. Boy, it's being difficult. All right. 2 or 1 cut?
1.
Adventure. And what is that?
Is it a frog?
It's a green guy. I don't know. It looks like a guy on a flying carpet. Somebody on a flying
Oh,
carpet.
yeah, he is on a carpet. That is so cute.
Yeah. All right. So we have jealousy and adventure. Please write it down because I so that I can take the pictures, find them afterwards. And then I'm going to pick from the Mood Oracle. And I
Okay.
picked this one because it's a disgustingly relatable oracle deck. And she's completely irreverent and made this bizarre deck. Okay, so Lynn, tell me when to stop. This is a big deck.
Okay, you can stop.
1 or 2?
Oh, let's go with 1 cut.
Make mischief. If the print doesn't fit, you must acquit. Koalas have human fingerprints, making them the perfect partner in crime. Very weird. This is so weird.
But humor. Yeah.
Make mischief. So, oh, and he's green too.
He's green.
Wow.
Oh, and you see there's a little koala with a teal girl, 2 people in shadow, no, 5. And make sure that I get this for the camera. All right. Putting it back in the deck. And Diana, tell me when to stop.
Now.
Okay. 1 or 2 cuts.
2.
Oops, this one slid out. So guess what? This is the
It's
one.
a jump card. Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh gosh.
Yoga.
Yoga.
Oh, that's good.
That is
But
so
yoga.
funny.
Do you recognize the game though?
It's a twister. The twister, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And you know what? I know the pose. That is trichinosa triangle pose.
Oh wow. All right. Well, those are the 2. And the last deck that I'm going to pull from, I figured after doing a word and something kind of weird and funny, that I would pull an angel. Okay. This one's also out of print. And I will take pictures and post. This one has a book. So I will take the pictures of the book. The others 2 don't have a book. You just kind of have to go with the image and whatever it says. All right. So then, oh shoot, I forgot to put this, but okay. I had to liner. First, let me share with you what mine were real quick. Mine was these yin and yang diversity, colorful, bright, strange yin and yang. Mine was meditation.
Mm.
Energy travels through your crown chakra and out your butthole.
Okay, yeah.
And I got Archangel Michael. So
That's a
I
good
should have
one.
put them back. All right, so let me, Lynn, I'm shuffling, so tell me.
Okay,
1 or 2?
let's go with 1 again.
Okay. Wow, that's gorgeous. I have no idea who, I have to look it up, but it looks like a perfume bottle, but I
Does.
don't know. Do you see the rosy cross?
Uh,
This would relate very much to Boda.
hmm.
All right, let me identify that one so that if you'll write down the name. This is from the quintessence suit of Hermes Trismegistus, and it is Hermes Trismegistus, who's one of my particular favorite guides, the angel of spiritual alchemy. It is the
Mm.
master card of secrets, wisdom, and power.
Mm.
Wait, is that right? Yeah. I don't think that.
Good
That
one.
is.
Good one, Lynn. That's a
Yes,
good one to finish with.
but very nice.
Very beautiful. All right, so I'm putting it back in and I'm gonna shuffle for you, Ayana.
Now,
Okay. 1 or 2?
2.
Oh, how pretty. Which is, oh, looks like Pisces and Scorpio. It looks like an angel that there's water underneath,
Mm.
wings made up of Pisces and Scorpio. This one is, remember, I'll take pictures of the book description, okay?
Okay.
These are no numbers or anything, so I kind of have to go through it and identify it. Which one is this? Oh, there it is. This one's from the Starfire suit of the Pistis Sophia,
Mm.
12 zodiac signs. So, Barakiel, zodiac angel of Scorpio and Pisces. Scorpio for issues of risk-taking, opportunity, and self-development. Pisces for issues of sensitivity, imagination, and thoughtfulness. So, Barakiel, Barakiel. And I'll just go ahead and leave it out so I can take a picture. I will take the pictures and post it tomorrow because tonight it's 7 o'clock. I gotta go make dinner and be with hubby. He'll teach me about. All right. Anything you guys need to say or
Just thank you.
Yeah.
all right. All right. Well, I had fun. Anything else, post it in the group or email me, okay? And we'll
Yes,
see
I'm
you.
so happy to be here with you all.
Yay, I like it when you're here too. All right, my dears. I'll see you next Sunday, same time, 4 o'clock. No one's leaving. Everyone will be here.
Everyone will be here, and make sure you hydrate yourself. You.
Mhm. Did my husband pay you?
No, but I know about like when you kind of get like dizzy, or I mean, I've had dizzy spells too, and usually hydration helps quite a bit.
Yes. Yes, Mini Marcus. My husband's always on me about it. Thank you,
Yes,
though. Seriously, thank
you're
you.
welcome.
Okay, guys, see you next week. And Lynn, I'm sorry I didn't get around to the Galactic Center. Just be patient. 9th class.
Fine. That's
Okay. All right. Bye, my dears. Take care.
Bye.
fine.
Where's stop the